Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo has officially announced his resignation, effective in 14 days, as the scandal surrounding him and his administration continues to escalate. We have seen a bipartisan call for impeachment. We have seen the president say he should resign, and we have even heard one Republican call for his arrest. Now, following the statement made by Cuomo, we are hearing from Elise Stefanik again that he should be arrested. But my friends, what truly breaks my heart is that this is about a harassment scandal and not about the people who lost their lives in the nursing home scandal. But at the very least, I can accept this. A very bad man is being forced out. This is a good thing. But never forget everything the media said praising him all for the last year. They called him shadow president. Some were arguing that he could actually step into the Democratic primary and even run for president. They need to own up to the fact they supported this man all throughout his administration and the horrible things he was doing. Now, what he said is truly remarkable. The New York Post is saying he's being selfish. Even in his resignation, he's an egotist. He said, in my mind, I never crossed that line, but I didn't realize how much the line had been redrawn. You know what? A world of your own making. Cuomo is a particularly prominent Democrat. These are the policies they support. This is the world they support. So you know what? I'm not going to shed a tear for a man going through this circumstance and this scandal when it is exactly the party he supports who propose these policies, who make these demands. And it is Democrats and members of the media who typically tend to be Democrat who are the ones calling him out and saying he should be removed. Which brings me to the next governor. Newsom. He's next. The recall effort is underway, so we got a lot to talk about. Cuomo is out. To those who lost family members in nursing homes, I'm sure many of them are ecstatic to hear the news, though it wasn't the reason for his resignation. But Newsom is next, facing a recall vote. We've got Larry Elder, who I believe is leading the pack, and that's amazing. Larry Elder is fantastic. Not that I completely agree with any of these people's policy positions, but to see somebody else, someone like Larry Elder, I think is tremendous. Gavin Newsom was seen during the COVID pandemic not wearing a mask, flouting the rules, and now he's desperate to try and earn back some support. But the sad reality is, your average voter in California is not energized by this. I mean, most regular people in California, they don't like Newsom. There's no standard voting process, typical voting process by which people just go and mark D. This is a recall vote, which means Republicans could actually get a Republican governor, and it might be Larry Elder. So, my friends, to wrap this up, we are looking at Cuomo being ousted, and next up is Gavin Newsom. I wonder about all those other governors like Wolf in PA and Whitmer in Michigan. Could they be next on the impeachment block or the Maybe not. Honestly, maybe not, but we'll see. Let's jump into the news and see what's going on with Cuomo's resignation. Now, before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member to get access to exclusive members-only segments from the Timcast IRL podcast, as well as an advertisement-free experience. You can see here, we have the story from Timcast, Cuomo quits. Cuomo resigns as New York governor over harassment scandal. Go to timcast.com and sign up to support our journalists and the work they're doing to make sure we're on top of this breaking news. And we've even got some opinion pieces coming out. We've got some really great work. You're going to love it, and more shows to come. But don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this one with your friends. This is big news. From timcast.com, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo caved to growing pressure Tuesday and formally resigned from office over allegations of harassment from at least 11 women who worked alongside the top Democrat. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has resigned, reports The Hill. Cuomo had faced an inundation of calls for his departure and an impeachment hearing in the state assembly that appeared all but guaranteed to spark a trial in the state Senate. Should he have survived potential impeachment proceedings, he also faced daunting re-election prospects in 2022. Cuomo maintained his innocence leading up to the announcement. Quote, "My attorney, who is a non-political former federal prosecutor, has done a response to each allegation, and the facts are much different than what has been portrayed. I want you to know directly from me that I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate advances. I do embrace people. I do hug people, men and women. On occasion, I do slip and say sweetheart or darling or honey. I do banter with people. I do tell jokes, some better than others. I am the same person in public as I am in private. Now, this story is developing as of the time of recording this, but we've got a bunch of live updates. He came out, when they said Cuomo was going to give a press conference, and they're like, here's the time. I was like, yeah. You know, this guy's a liar. He's a real piece of work. His brother, we're actually hearing now. This is also crazy. People are saying CNN should be suspending Chris Cuomo because he was secretly working with his brother on a PR response while still actively working at CNN as a quote unquote newsman. CNN apparently said they offered Chris Cuomo the opportunity for leave to work with his brother, and he just didn't do it. It was, here you go. Corruption at the highest levels. Now, here's what I find fascinating. Cuomo says, the best way I can help now is to step aside. Cuomo started his speech by defending his actions, insisting norms and behaviors had changed over time. That doesn't make it okay. And I will stress, it's your party that is encouraging these changes. And you know what? If these changes are a good thing, you shouldn't be complaining about it. How about you just come out and say, times changed and I accept that and I apologize and I'll walk away. How about that, Cuomo? He says, quote, in my mind, I never crossed the line with anyone, but I didn't realize the extent to which the line is redrawn. Although he said his instinct is to fight through the controversy because I truly believe it is politically motivated, he said he realized the way the political wind is blowing. It will consume government. It will cost taxpayers millions of dollars. It will brutalize people. The best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing, and therefore that's what I will do. Well, Cuomo, we're not stopping there. It is not just about this one scandal. It is about what happened in those nursing homes, and it is not just about a resignation or impeachment. You see, Cuomo knew the lines had been drawn, redrawn, changed, whatever, but the lines in the sand, that's there. You crossed the line, buddy. And I'm not talking about the scandal. I'm not talking about harassment. I'm talking about the nursing homes. So it's not just impeachment. Rep Elise Stefanik again calls for Cuomo arrest, calls for Hochul to clean house from CBS 6 Albany. Washington, D.C. Rep Elise Stefanik released a statement following the resignation of Cuomo, saying, quote, New Yorkers have lived for far too long under the worst governor in America's corrupt and criminal tenure. Wow. In America's corrupt and criminal tenure? What do you mean by that? This resignation is long past overdue. Governor Cuomo needs to be arrested and prosecuted for harassment, assault, and abuse. Governor Cuomo also needs to be arrested and prosecuted for his criminal acts covering up the tragic deaths of our most vulnerable seniors in nursing homes. Elise, bravo. That, I can't tell you how angry I am, how angry I've been for a long time, sitting here knowing that Andrew Cuomo did what he did in these nursing homes and is getting away with it. I'm not confident he's going to get prosecuted for that. The resignation is a step in the right direction, in my opinion, for the right reasons. What he did with these women and all these accusations, I think, good, resign. At the very least, you've lost the confidence of the people. I want to see a perp walk. Not only did he order sick people into these nursing homes, he tried to cover it up. Quote, in addition, Governor Cuomo and his staff, funded by the taxpayers, must be prosecuted, and his staff, wow, for using state resources to negotiate a multi-million-dollar book deal using state resources illegally. There are multiple federal and state laws the governor and his staff have broken, and they need to be held accountable. Every New Yorker must know that there is equal justice under the law, no matter if you are the most powerful figure in New York or an everyday New Yorker. The systemic culture of criminal corruption, political vengeance, and illegal retaliation under Andrew Cuomo was brushed under the rug for years by Democrats, the media, and the cesspool of Albany. It is a disgraceful chapter in New York's history. The next governor, Kathy Hochul, must purge Cuomo's abusive, corrupt, and criminal political appointees immediately to clean house for the sake of every New Yorker. Stefanik called for his arrest back on August 3rd when the New York Attorney General's independent report was released. Now, it seems that this article was rushed out a bit because I think they got I think they got some of the quoting wrong. I don't think Elise Stefanik said America's got a corrupt and criminal tenure. I think the actual quote was referring to Cuomo. Here's the New York Post right out the gate from the editorial board. Cuomo's insulting resignation speech, self-serving to the end. It's not me, it's you. That was Andrew Cuomo's self-serving, tone-deaf resignation Tuesday. New Yorkers have always known he was a hugger, a kisser, but the lines have shifted so suddenly you can't do that anymore, he said with a Mad Men-esque expression of shock. Wow. Cuomo finally did the right thing, saying he was going to be out of the office in 14 days. But despite his pleas of I accept full responsibility, he accepted none at all. He blamed a hot political environment. He blamed his enemies. He blamed Twitter. He claimed holding men to account was unsustainable for society. Then he mansplained how much he's done for New York, skipping over the nursing home fiasco, the book he forced his staff to work on, the disastrous bills he didn't block. Bravo, New York Post, the mansplaining thing. He said it was in the best interest of New York State that he serve, but it was going to cost too much money. No, Andrew, it's not us. It's always been you. The Daily Caller with one of the most important responses. Never forget how cable news spent an entire year fawning over Cuomo. If they had their way, Cuomo could have been president, would have been in charge of the pandemic. And how many more people would we have lost because of this psychopath, because of this sociopath, because of this disgusting man? That was the media defending everything he did. From Vogue, why we are crushing on Andrew Cuomo right now. Yeah, why? I never much cared for Andrew Cuomo, even though, like most New Yorkers, I voted for him 3 times. What? I just didn't fall in love with the guy. He wasn't anyone's dream politician. And blah, 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 blah. I wanted to like Cuomo, but I was troubled by his work with the sketchy IDC. But what a difference a pandemic makes. All of a sudden, I love Governor Cuomo. His soothing Queen's accent, his stories about his dad, Mario, and his 88-year-old mother, Matilda. And then there's the Andrew, the dad, embarrassing his kids with stories of their upbringing after his divorce when he was a single father and blah, blah, blah. Then there's Andrew bantering with his brother Chris on CNN about which son wasn't calling their mother enough. It's truly incredible. I think Chris Cuomo should be suspended. I think CNN should apologize for what happened. And I think we need to recognize the extent to which this was going on for some time. Trevor Noah. Yeah, I'm not going to say that stupid word. Trevor Noah defending Cuomo with Ellen, just like all of them did. And now has the nerve to tweet, New York has successfully flattened a perv. It's truly sickening. Take a look at this story from the Daily Mail. He should be grilled. Brian Stelter demands CNN colleague Chris Cuomo is questioned over his silence on claims against his brother Andrew Cuomo and warns his show could be canceled if viewers turn on him. CNN host Brian Stelter has admitted the optics of banning Chris Cuomo from talking about his brother are a problem and says Chris's shows could be canceled if viewers turn off over the scandal. He should be. Now, look, I'm all about pencils having erasers. I understand Chris wanted to help his family. He should have stepped down temporarily. He had the choice. He didn't do it. But you know what? Let's dig deeper. Chris Cuomo should be fired immediately and should not be welcomed in any media space ever again for faking having COVID, let alone this scandal. Quote, management has been clear about its position. He is not covering the governor on TV, period, Stelter said. He is not talking about it at all. Stelter also defended the decision not to suspend Chris, who he insisted is taking a long-planned vacation on Monday in a bid to shoot down rumors that his colleague has been canceled when he disappears from the screens. He's getting a vacation, huh? Yeah. I love the corruption. They don't go after Chris Cuomo for the, working with his brother. They don't go after him over the conflict of interest and the stupid cotton swab fiasco. And this is it. Now it's, I'm sorry, I phrased that wrong. They didn't go after him because of the cotton swab thing. They didn't go after him, for the conflict of interest or for lying about having COVID. Now it's just because of his brother. This is what they truly care about. Well, I'll tell you this. Elise Stefanik, she may be right. Albany Sheriff says criminal probe into complaint against Governor Cuomo could lead to arrest. This is from Gothamist. The Albany County Sheriff investigating claims against Andrew Cuomo said Saturday that the governor will be arrested and charged with a misdemeanor if they prove the claim is credible. The criminal investigation, believed to be the first brought against Cuomo after the staffer filed the complaint, comes as the embattled governor fights for political survival. Well, this story is from a few days ago. Quote, I'm not going to rush it because of who he is. I'm not going to delay it because of who he is, Sheriff Craig Apple said of the Cuomo investigation in a news briefing. He added, the investigation will be treated like any other probe his office carries out. Asked whether the sheriff's office will carry out the arrest if Cuomo is charged, Apple said, absolutely. I want to see the perp walk. Everybody, tonight, when you are readying for bed, look upon a star and make that wish that we will get true justice and accountability, that this man will face charges for his crimes, all of them. Cross your fingers. Apple provided a few details about the criminal complaint filed by the accuser, who was not named. All right, she was referred to Executive Assistant 1. Apple did not specify what the accuser told investigators, but it was, it was criminal conduct. In the Attorney General's report, the assistant claimed Cuomo had broken the law. We'll put it that way. I think most of you understand what he's being charged with. Sheriff's investigators have now requested the state attorney general's office turn over evidence related to the incident mentioned in the report. In a statement released shortly after the news conference, a spokesperson for James said the attorney general's office will cooperate fully in handing over state's evidence. Apple said if the investigation determines the claims are true, his office will meet with the Albany County District Attorney's Office to proceed with a formal charge and arrest. The investigation will involve interviews with the accuser and any relevant witnesses. Apple mentioned that investigators haven't ruled out interviewing the governor. During the press conference, Apple repeatedly referred to the assistant and all of the women mentioned in the report as victims, acknowledging the stress they've endured in coming forward. They've been through a rough period of time. The last thing I want to do is continue to re-victimize. Every time their faces pop up on TV or their names are mentioned on TV or on radio, it does in fact put more stressors on them, Apple said. I think we need to... We absolutely need to make sure we're holding everyone accountable, every single person. No one should be above the law. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Hillary. I don't care if it's Cuomo. I don't care if it's DeSantis. You got evidence. You got something to put forward. Put it forward, and no one is above the law. Michael Malice chimed in, and I saw his tweet, and he makes a great point. The Cuomo news is very bad for Gavin Newsom, who is already facing an enthusiasm gap. I would not bet on Newsom being recalled, but a close call would not be good for his future prospects and would cause major panic leading into the midterms. I don't know. Is Michael Malice correct? Don't bet on Newsom being recalled. Honestly, I don't know. From Fox News. Newsom recall election. Here's why California governor is in real trouble. Why is Newsom in trouble? A good deal of it is the result of his bad policies, but there's more. Here's the next Democratic governor that people want removed. Cuomo, he's out. That's it. 2 weeks. So we're looking at what? August 24th? See you later, Cuomo. What about Whitmer, Wolf, Murphy, Newsom? For Fox News, quote, Nikki, every now and then it helps if people like you, so said soon-to-be World Formula One champion James Hunt to his fierce rival Niki Lauda, in response to Nikki asking others to vote with him on whether to race in the rain in the movie Rush. In the days leading up to Gavin Newsom's recall election, he will have wished for the same. Gavin Newsom's big government, union, and ultra-environmentalist-centric policies have predictably failed California, and now he's facing a recall election on September 14th. Often politicians can overcome bad policies, but not bad personalities. And that is the biggest problem Newsom faces. He is not liked. The most recent recall poll garnered this headline from the San Francisco Chronicle. Shock poll shows Gavin Newsom losing recall vote by double digits. The numbers are 51% for the recall and 40% against in the blue state of California. In another poll, 58% say they don't want him to run for governor in 2022. Why is Newsom in trouble? A good deal of it is the result of bad policies. Chief among them is the crime sweeping the state. So much so that a stunning 65% of Californians believe that crime is getting worse, while 29% say it is the same or diminishing, according to a poll of 1,000 likely voters done by David Binder Research, the San Francisco pollster who has worked on Barack Obama and Joe Biden's presidential campaigns. Given that 48% of the registered voters in California are Democrats, that is an even more remarkable poll. In a separate poll, 41% of Democrats gave Newsom a D or an F on homelessness. Here's how the Washington Examiner described the governor's recent press conference. Governor Newsom pledged to house and feed the world's homeless population this week during a whirlwind Comeback California tour that is designed to stave off a September recall by angry voters. Just keep in mind, the state of California already has a homeless population that exceeds 180,000. As for that alleged economic comeback, according to the California Business Roundtable, 6 weeks into California's reopening, initial unemployment claims continue to rise in the state while dropping in the rest of the country. California initial jobless claims rose 8.1%, while the U.S. total dropped 4.4%. The reason for those poor economic numbers includes California being one of the most taxed and highest regulated places on earth. Perhaps the most pressing of those regulations find many locations with gas prices above $5 a gallon. In fact, we saw $6. It was like $5.99. Mind-blowing. Higher gas prices operate like a tax on disposable income and take money right out of the pockets of the middle class and the less fortunate. Those in the upper classes likely can afford the higher gas prices and, importantly, don't have to drive to their jobs anywhere near as much as the less fortunate. Beyond rising crime, widespread homelessness, and the rapidly rising cost of living, California is facing another record wildfire season. Also, I think the drought. I want to be fair to Newsom. I can't blame him necessarily for a drought or wildfires. But I suppose with better leadership, these things could be averted. He didn't make the drought happen or the wildfires happen, but he's certainly not doing a good enough job to satisfy the needs of his constituents. They say there is also the issue of water restrictions. While it is true that last winter produced little rain, the more salient issue is that California does not save water for a non-rainy day. Each year, it allows trillions of gallons of water to come down from the mountains, rush through its rivers, and go straight out into the ocean in the name of environmentalism. That water should be directed to fill reservoirs and pumped to thirsty farms and communities. Moreover, 2 reservoirs were approved by the state's voters in 2014 with a $7 billion plus bond, and not a single shovel of dirt has been turned because specious environmental claims, nor has the state exploited the desalination opportunities in the Pacific Ocean offers it. Again, I'm not a fan of Newsom, but I want to be fair about the desalination. I've investigated this stuff. And the problem with desalination is that you dump brine into the bottom layer of the water, and it can actually kill the lowest level of the food chain, and could have negative consequences moving up the food chain and create dead zones. It's not so simple. It isn't. I can't blame the guy for it not raining. I can certainly blame the guy for every other failure in California. And more importantly, with the COVID restrictions, the decimation of the economy, losing jobs at a time when the rest of the country is improving, jobless claims, of course, going up. And what does he have to show for it? Going to restaurants, not wearing masks, violating his own policies. The dude should be recalled. Now, who's it going to be? I don't know. The California GOP votes not to endorse incoming Newsom recall election. The GOP is scared that if they tell people we're endorsing a particular candidate, then people won't come out and vote to recall, and they want the recall to happen first. Maybe after people, it's on the same ballot, I guess. It'll say, should he be recalled? If he is, who should replace them? I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, because if people don't coalesce around a different candidate, who knows who's going to win? The Hill reports. The California Republican Party will not endorse a candidate in the state's upcoming recall election, as 24 GOP candidates campaign to replace Governor Gavin Newsom. The party voted overwhelmingly on Saturday not to endorse a candidate in the September race over concerns that throwing their support behind one of the Republican candidates would divide the party and lead some voters to stay home. Roughly 90% of the delegates who were at the party's virtual meeting supported not endorsing one candidate. They were reportedly planning on choosing which candidate to endorse out of a small group of 4. 24% of California voters are registered as Republicans. The polls are showing that the recall is a statistical tie, and we cannot afford to discourage voters who are passionate about a particular candidate, yet may not vote because their favored candidate didn't receive the endorsement. Republican National Committee members Harmeet Dillon and Sean Steele wrote in an email. Californians will weigh in on the recall election on September 14th. The ballot will ask voters 2 questions. First, whether Newsom should be removed. Then, who should replace him? The second question will list the 41 candidates who qualified for the ballot, including talk radio host Larry Elder, former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer, businessman John Cox, state legislator Kevin Kiley, former U.S. House member Doug Osei, and former Olympian and reality television personality Caitlyn Jenner, all of whom are running as Republicans. Larry Elder sounds amazing, to be completely honest. If a majority of voters support Newsom's recall, the candidate who receives the most votes in the second question will win the governorship, the Newswire noted. Recent polls in the Golden State show that voters are deadlocked on whether or not to oust the first-term governor. A poll conducted between August 2nd and 4th by Survey USA for the San Diego Union Tribune, found 51% of respondents would vote to remove Newsom from office if held that day, compared to 40% who said they wanted the governor to remain in his post. The poll did not report a traditional margin of error, but the credibility interval was 5 percentage points. Another survey conducted between July 30th and August 1st by the California Emerson College and Nexstar Media Group found 46% of likely voters supported Newsom's recall, with 48% opposed and 6% undecided. Now, what I think is most important here is whether or not people can muster up, they can mobilize. From CNN, California Governor Newsom faces a wall of apathy as Republicans mobilize recall voters. This is it. You see what's going to happen is Democrat voters show up to the polls and they say D. Republicans show up and say R. But right now, Republicans have the opportunity to get Larry Elder in as governor of California. That would be huge. That would be amazing. I mean, we'll see what he can do. Smart guy. Now, normally, the Democrats would come out in their standard election and have their voices be heard. But how many of these Democrats are apathetic and won't actually come out and do anything? That's the question. How many Republicans will pounce, as the media likes to claim? CNN says, recall? What recall? The young mother peeked out through her screen door at three volunteers in matching union T-shirts, holding pamphlets touting the embattled Governor Gavin Newsom. Within 5 weeks before the special election, this woman was exactly the sort of voter the door-to-door canvasser with the Service Employees International Union had hoped to reach in their first mass neighborhood outreach to stop the Republican-led effort to oust the Democrat from office. We just got to reach them, said Victoria Mackey, an SEIU Local 2015 member, as the voter promises to vote no on turning Newsom out of office. For many months, the effort to recall the Democratic governor was viewed as having little chance of success in a state where no Republicans hold statewide office, and Democratic voters outnumber Republicans by nearly 2-1. But in the final month before the September special election, Democrats are facing some unforeseen hurdles that are creating a lot of unexpected hand-wringing as election officials get ready to mail out ballots to every voter in the state. Like many other governors around the country, Newsom is once again dealing with surging COVID-19 cases due to the Delta variant, which has hamstrung traditional get-out-the-vote efforts and put parents on edge as their children get ready to head back to school. The wildfire season has also begun early with a vengeance, testing voters' faith in Newsom. And the state is dealing with a historic drought. But while the 4 governors who lead the most populous states find themselves in varying degrees of political trouble, Newsom is the only one facing a recall challenge. Now, to be fair, Cuomo resigned. He was facing impeachment. Most worrisome for Democrats is the fact that the potential removal of Newsom has been met with a collective yawn by many voters in their party who have much more pressing concerns in their lives. Poll after poll has shown feverish enthusiasm about ousting the Democratic governor among Republican voters. But despite near frenetic texting, emailing, and breathless cries of stop the Republican recall by Newsom forces, the Democratic base appears at most uninterested. Oh, man. If Newsom gets pulled out, wow. What a year. We're in a down year. We're in an off year. There's no elections right now. Now there's going to be. This is amazing. 2022, we got the midterms. 2023, we got the primaries for the president. 2024, we got the presidential election. You get 3 years of crazy political news and cultural coverage, and then a year off, where you talk about other stuff. But here we go. Things are getting spicy. Quote, "Oh, they want to remove him?" asked Christian Gutierrez, a young registered Democrat in South Pasadena. And he is not alone. Despite television ads featuring Democratic stars like Elizabeth Warren warning her party's voters to pay attention, Democratic strategists are becoming increasingly concerned that a lot of voters will simply throw them out in the trash because they don't see the recall as a real threat or don't even know it's happening. Oh, man. They're going to get a mail-in ballot, look at it and say, what's this for? I don't know. They're not focused on it, said longtime California Democratic strategist Bill Carrick. They're happy about President Biden. They're happy about having control of Congress, so they're not coming down off that high to be depressed about a recall. Turnout is a problem, Carrick added. If you're a Democrat, it's scary. Both Carrick and Mark Baldessar, Baldassare, I pronounce it, president and CEO of the Public Policy Institute of California, note that it's hard to predict voter turnout in any special election, let alone one that is unfolding as voters are distracted by a pandemic and other crises like wildfires and drought. Larry Elder, man, people of California, heed my call. I think California needs a change up bad. Supermajority rule is not good for anybody. Here's your opportunity for a smart guy, Larry Elder. He could win. I think he's leading the pack. If Newsom is recalled and Larry Elder is governor, you're still going to have a supermajority across the board in every other place of California for the most part. But maybe you'll get a little bit something different. Maybe help mix things up. And you can't just keep doing the same thing and hoping it's going to change. Gavin Newsom has already shown, in my opinion, he's failed the state. Cuomo is out. Newsom is next. Will it be enough? And will we see the remaining horrible governors, Murphy, Wolf, and Whitmer, face similar action? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm glad that people are standing up, taking action. I'm glad to see there's some justice when it comes to Cuomo, and I hope we get some accountability when it comes to Gavin Newsom. All right, man. Well, we'll keep covering this stuff. This will be interesting. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. tonight at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.